Hello, I'm Sarah Watts. I'm an illustrator and fabric designer based just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm also a mama to two awesome kids, and I married my high school best friend. I design fabric with Ruby Star Society. We're a collaborative group of women who design story-driven prints, and I teach artists how to create repeat patterns in Adobe Photoshop. But before any of that, I was just a kid with a pen, some paper, and a whole lot of chaos. So I moved 21 times before I turned 18. My parents both struggled with mental health, and it was hard to make ends meet. But no matter where we lived, I always had my sketchbook. It was my anchor. I used to create little worlds just for myself, characters, creatures, anything to escape. I started selling my drawings in high school to help pay the bills. That was the first time I realized that art could carry me forward, and I went with it. Eventually, I worked night jobs and earned scholarships to study illustration at Ringling College of Art and Design. It was the first time I had space to fully explore my voice. After graduating, I worked as a children's clothing designer for Carter's in Oshkosh, which brought me to Atlanta. The corporate world taught me so much about production, but I always felt like I wanted to do things in my own way without the strict supervision of a corporate environment. I needed to be an entrepreneur. I needed to do things my own way. At night, I designed band posters and art prints on the side, just trying to keep that spark alive. I sewed, I made collages, and I did anything I could to figure out my own professional art path. In my 20s, I got into art licensing. I showed at Cintiq and worked with brands like Target, ModCloth, and Hallmark. I also spent a lot of time illustrating children's books, getting to work on about 30 covers over the years for publishers like Simon & Schuster and HarperCollins. I loved getting to work on narratives, but I still wanted more of a connection with the community through my artwork. The one thing I kept coming back to over and over again was fabric. Sewing was naturally collaborative and was a way that I learned to love all handcrafts. They give you something tactile to create with. I enjoy embroidery, collage, and some occasional knitting and crochet too. Today, I've designed nearly 30 fabric collections for home sewists, plus collaborative and one-off prints. At Ruby Star Society, we make fabric that tells stories with symbolism, emotion, and a touch of magic. Sometimes we're silly. We have also, over the years, become close like sisters. And the best part? The artwork that we make goes on to become part of someone else's creativity. Oftentimes, friendships are made around fabric. People love to sew together, or at least share their makes with each other. That is really, really cool to me. So my process is part analog, part digital, but it always starts in my sketchbook. Sketchbooking is everything to me. It's how I think, plan, reflect, and invent, and mess up sometimes. I love to help other artists get comfortable with their process in my membership called Pattern and Process, where I help artists develop their drawing skills, specifically for gift, stationery, and the fabric industries. I use a method I call Spark. It's a structure that helps me build a visual world around a theme. I sketch for weeks, and then I scan everything into Adobe Photoshop to start building. Spark helps me to brainstorm and develop any whisper of an idea into a full fabric collection. So I've been using Wacom tablets for 20 years. I actually learned Photoshop on a Wacom. It felt like second nature from the very start. Now I work on the new Cintiq 16 pen display, and I love it. And it's been a total shift in my creative flow. Standing while I draw has helped my body and my brain. The Cintiq lets me move with the work, not just sit and stare, and I love that. It feels more alive, more intuitive, like I'm dancing with the art a little bit. What I love most is that it feels like a sketchbook, but lets me zoom in, adjust layers, and keep the handmade feeling alive. It also looks exactly like my desktop display, which I love. Even though I work digitally, craft is everything to me. I want my art to feel human because making it is human. Wacom gives me that tactile, intuitive connection, like I'm still drawing with ink and brush, but with all the flexibility of digital. And as a working artist, I love that digital tools help me generate income through licensing and other repeatable formats. When I combine the two, handmade and digital, that's when my creativity really thrives. Once I scan my art into Photoshop, I refine the drawings and begin building repeats. I use Pattern Preview, but I also teach my students to build patterns manually. It's important to know how a repeat works and to be able to troubleshoot and customize your work, especially when you're working with clients. Each collection that I design includes about 8 to 12 designs. There are focal point hero prints, supportive designs, and then low volume or blenders that tie everything together. Blenders don't get enough credit, but they make the entire quilt sing. At Ruby Star Society, we collaborate constantly. We meet weekly, critique each other's collections. It's a lot like art school, just with better snacks. Sometimes we art direct group collections or combine our artwork to build one unified story. It mirrors the sewing circles that many makers find community in. We're creating art that builds connection, and we're doing it together as well. So my favorite part of fabric design is watching the art take on a new life. Someone cuts it, sews it, gives it away, or keeps it for years in a quilt that they made with their grandmother. Even though we're creating separately, there's this invisible collaboration. My work becomes part of their creativity, and that's something I never take for granted. Did you know that quilts are cool? Being an artist makes you a fan of other artists. It's like our way of nodding to each other. Hey, I see you. I get it. Thank you for inspiring me. In a world that's moving fast, I think that handmade creations matter more than ever. And I'm proud to be a part of that legacy. These days, I design 2 fabric collections a year. I collaborate with Ruby Star Society and teach hundreds of artists through my Photoshop course and membership. Whether you're a full-time creative or just getting started, my biggest advice is simple. Make more art. Not perfect art, not trendy art, just more of it. Because your voice comes from using it, from showing up, from being curious and messy and honest, not perfect. Thank you so much for letting me share my story. And if you're holding a pencil, a stylus, or a sketchbook right now, I hope you keep making with your hands.